Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, September 15th, 2025, Season 21, Episode number 37. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. It is our job today to get you up to speed on all things that happened yesterday in a 40-37 overtime win by the Dallas Cowboys.
Who had that score?
Nobody.
I had the 40.
I did. Me too. I said 40 burger,
Had the 40.
but I had no idea that the Giants had that kind of offense. And I'm not quite sure I should even say, right, I'm not even sure it is that kind of offense as much as it is that kind of defense for the Cowboys. But we'll get into all that. We're going to talk about so many things that happened in that game yesterday because it was, you probably could write a story off each quarter and have it be
each drive.
Game. Yeah, literally, it could be a game story off of each one of those moments. But we'll go through some of that stuff and get you guys up to speed. Let's start where we normally start on a Monday, and I want to go around and have you guys give me what you think was the storyline of this game, other than the fact that it was drunk.
Everybody jump on Dak's back and let's boogie. I think if Dak is going to be leading this thing, he's going to be in charge of this thing, and we live and die by him, cool. And we all felt like the Giants' defense was the harder of the units to deal with. And, pass rush, tore us up a little bit early, but, Dak knows how to handle nonsense going on around him, man. Shouts out to the Giants. They did a really good job in the first quarter. They gave the ball back to the Cowboys with 6 minutes left. So first drive, almost a 3-and-out. They would have, had the fourth down quarterback sneak. That didn't necessarily work out. Time management, Cowboys had to clean that up. But the Cowboys definitely scored, 37 points in 3 quarters. So shouts out to Dak and them.
Yeah, I think to me and you mentioned about Dak and stuff in the offense, so I think there's some things that they have to look at defensively.
Yes, sir.
That are here. And, and a lot of it is, we talk about zone coverages and the way that Matt Eberflus plays it. But we also got to kind of get an idea, though, is everything they're doing to the best of the ability of the players that they have. Mm. And it's not me here. It's my responsibility to be like, say, hey, this is good and this is bad. But it just doesn't look like to me there's fits, and there doesn't look like there's a lot of communication. And there's some things I'm sure that they're looking at right now that we're breaking down. Cover 2 is pretty simple to play, and if you're passing guys off to guys who aren't particularly good cover 2 players, me personally, Donovan Wilson is not a cover 2 player. He's just not. And, you put him on a hash or you put Donovan Wilson single high, and it's not like I'm being very critical of Donovan Wilson, and that's not a slam at him. That's a slam on the coaching staff for, not seeing that Donovan Wilson is going to struggle in those kinds of situations. Whether, you look at it with Diggs and the situation, you think, well, man, Diggs is just getting run by. Yeah. But then you look at the ball that goes down the field to Neighbors, the final touchdown there, the one that he makes. I mean, Donovan's looking at something, Diggs is looking at something, Neighbors is now even with them, and now he's separated. Mm-hmm. You got to ask yourself, are you or what are you thinking about here? You could play cover 2 and play zone and all that all day, but if you just don't have the guys that are capable of playing it to how you want to play it, that's coaching malpractice right there. And that's the unfortunate thing. Yes, you do not have a pass rush right now. Yes, while Jerry was taking a bite of the nachos up in the press box or up in his box, he was making a call to try and get some help. But if you're going to not bring pressure, and if you're not going to bring extra blitzers, and you're going to play zone and cover 2 stuff, and playing against a veteran quarterback, there are going to be problems with your pass defense.
Yeah, it's interesting because we'll get into more of the whys of what we think on that defense. But it's interesting to me that yesterday you just saw the difference between week 1 and week 2. Now, don't get me wrong. The Eagles had their way in the first half of that game offensively as well. But it does make you wonder if, when you play quarterbacks that are less experienced, maybe like this weekend when you play the Bears, playing this sort of zone may confuse them. It may give you extra time. You may be able to win there. But when you're playing veteran quarterbacks, like if they've got time and they're just looking for a guy to find an open area of your zone and you're not great at zone, that seems like a really, really bad mix for the Cowboys. And so far, the results have said that's a really bad mix for the Cowboys.
That's what's going to make us really mad. Russell Wilson's going to go out there next week versus the Chiefs, you say, Bryan?
Yep.
He's going to throw for like 97 yards, and it's going to bother everybody. And, neighbors going to be mad again. And you go, hey, man, how did this happen versus the Cowboys, but it didn't happen versus the Eagles, and they go do this? You can't play all these quarterbacks the same. Jalen Hurts got bad eyes. So when you're going against Jalen Hurts, maybe these muddy looks work versus him. But Russell Wilson been doing this for 15 years now? Yeah. So he knows what your regular cover 3 and your regular Tampa 2 looks like. Now you have to change this thing up week to week. Now, how is it, Voch, that A.J. Brown and, Smith and all these guys get shut down, per se, but Wan'Dale Robinson goes crazy against you? Well, I mean, you have to do something different every single week. You can't just be like, we're going to run 47 out of 48 zone plays and then do the same thing the very next week because they got film on you doing that. This Cowboys defense they don't have a black belt in Flus's defense, right? This is all still brand new. Some of these guys are fresh off Zimmer's defense. So you have to do some things to adapt to them. Dan Quinn, I give him credit for this all the time, notorious cover 3 guy in Seattle or whatever, but he comes here, he say, hey man, we got some man dudes, some pass rushers, this will benefit us. So tailor your plan to these guys. Shoddy is running the football because he got a running back that can run the football. If running don't work, we're going to throw the ball or just do something different. I need Flus, and I'm just a dude with a camera and a microphone that's barely working for DallasCowboys.com. I just need Flus to look at this much, to look at the opponent and just make adjustments every single week, and you'll be fine. I don't think the Cowboys have a talent issue on defense, but your talent, you can't ask this group of pass rushers to get pressure with 4. Number 11 ain't here. That's true. Piker Marsons ain't here no more because I can't say his name. Piker Marsons is not here anymore. So you got to get pressure with more than 4 guys. It just is what it is. You probably got man cover corners. Try to throw some man stuff in there to complement your man cover corners. And, I'll let y'all talk.
I agree. No, I think you're absolutely right about that. And that's what coaches always talk about. Hey, we got to put our players in position to make plays. Defensively, you made some plays during the overtime period. Mm-hmm. The interception was because Sam Williams got pressure. Mm-hmm. Sam Williams got into Russell Wilson's face and made him throw the ball over the top of him. And all of a sudden, but if Russell Wilson's standing in that pocket like he had the majority of that day, he's got neighbors to the outside. That ball he's taking a shot to try and go make a play. And who knows? You're probably going to get a pass interference call the way that crew was calling that game yesterday. So to me, it just goes back to like, you've got to figure out what your guys can and cannot do. And, maybe it was fool's gold that you saw what you did in the first game. But Voch is absolutely right. If you've got a veteran guy who's seen all these things, it's a little bit more difficult to deal with that.
Yeah, putting numbers to this, in week 1, as you mentioned, Voch, Next Gen Stats said they ran zone 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, Next Gen Stats said they ran zone 96% of the time. Yeah. And to give you context, last year they ran zone 71% of the time during the season. One of the things I have a question about, and I think Shoddy has been very adamant about this since the opening of training camp, really going back into the offseason. One thing he kept saying over and over is, we're going to be multiple. We're going to be multiple. Yeah. And he was talking about in every facet of the game, they planned to be multiple. They wanted to do a lot of different things to show teams a lot of different looks. It seems strange to me if we really are focused on being multiple, that they would be so heavy on zone. Does that strike you guys as a little bit off, or is this something that's just normal? It's the only problem here is that they're just not good at it.
Well, there was a couple of times there in that game where they tried to the old school Monty Kiffin, and we've seen this. And you could go all the way back to the Tampa days, and with Derek Brooks playing as they're playing too deep, and at the snap, both safeties are are splitting, and then you're trying to run a Mike linebacker who's a Hall of Fame Mike linebacker through the middle of the defense. Yeah. But now you're asking
that ain't Sanborn.
It's not Sanborn, and it surely isn't Murray. You know, and Murray got picked off the one time. I mean, they make a big play on he gets picked off by Johnson, but you're trying to play a scheme where now you're kind of looking at your guys and say, yeah, well, this is tried and true, and this is what we do. Yeah, you did it with Hall of Fame players. I mean, that's what Monty and Rod Marinelli and those guys did. So you've got to figure out. You know, like I say, you have to be able to mix some man coverage stuff in there. You have to be able to throw some people off that way. You know, search around it. And Voch, again, excellent point by him. Correct. Dan Quinn was searching for things to do. Dan Quinn was kind of a disciple of what we're talking about. And then he morphed into, man, we got some man coverage guys. We got some rushers. We've got some... You know, they've got to figure these things out. You can't just keep it as simplistic as it is right now and expect it like, okay, well, this is going to, it worked against Jalen Hurts. It sure was going to work against Russell Wilson. It's just not, that's just not the way you can operate.
Do you guys think that this will be something that'll get better the closer we get to October, November, or something? Like maybe they just need time playing together, figuring this thing out, or do you need different dudes to do different stuff? Because you do have a linebacker that run real fast coming back in for Thanksgiving, allegedly, according to him. But do you have a safety problem? Because I saw people on online saying, "Hey, can we go trade for a safety now, Brian Broaddus or Derek, whoever?"
Yeah, you got some on that one, Derek?
Yeah, I would just say I think it's a personnel issue. Not again. I agree with you, Brian. I don't think the personnel is bad. I think they're being asked to do things that aren't in their wheelhouse.
Right.
Let's be clear about what Donovan Wilson has been with the Cowboys.
Yes.
I'm not going to say what he is overall. I'm saying what he's been with the Cowboys. Yeah. He makes an impact when he's down near the line of scrimmage. He is a box safety. That's when he has been at his best. Yeah. That's when we've seen him making plays. And to say you're going to say, okay, now I want you to just take basically the deep half of the field, that has not been where we've seen him at his best. So I think they're playing him out of position. I don't think these linebackers are necessarily the kind that are athletic enough to play deep. On several plays when they were in cover two, Brian, to your point, there just wasn't enough depth from the linebackers. Yeah. And so if you do that, then it basically leaves this huge void in the middle of the field. Other times what they would do is basically they'd send a guy up the outside. He would be deeper than the corner. The safety couldn't get over there in time. Big gain. Yeah. And so to cover two, they don't have the personnel, or at least right now, this personnel yesterday did not show they have the ability to do consistently what this defense is asking them to do.
Or do they have those guys and they aren't playing those guys? You know, Leofau had less than 10 reps last night. That could be a thing that could help.
He had 7 in week 1 or 8, something like that?
6 in week 1. I believe it was like 8, 9 last night. I heard a lot of people saying maybe Wanye Thomas would be better fit to doing a job like that. Marquise Bell maybe could do a job better. You know, so
Marquise Bell's another guy that we've seen his best.
I would say Thomas is the guy.
Thomas for sure.
Thomas is the guy that I would surely think about right there. But
they both turn the run a little bit.
How about maybe even and think about this. We saw a little bit of Bridges. I think I saw him for 1 or 2 plays in that game on defense. Bridges, who they got from
was that Weezy or Reddick? Because all I know is
Weezy. This is Weezy. This is the taller one. Yeah, the taller
Weezy.
Taller Weezy.
That's all I know.
So yeah, Weezy, former safety. But a guy that now has played some cover stuff. Do you find a way to? They're like, oh no, he's a corner. Okay, well, to me, Thomas is a better option than Bell. Bell's kind of like Wilson, down player is what I would think about there. But the thing with Wilson, and it's just feel. It's feel, it's vision, and he just doesn't have that feel for when they're running on him to be able to react. It takes him time to see, oh my gosh, what's happening, and now he's having to turn and go. They're asking him to do something I just don't think that he is comfortable doing, and let's see if they've got Thomas or Bridges or somebody like that can maybe play that spot.
Just to be clear, I don't want to take Donovan off the field because I think he does great things in the run game. I just don't want Donovan running backwards. That's all.
He's got to figure out how to use him. Yeah. Real quick before we go to break, though, was any of what we saw yesterday from the defense a result of not having Bland on the field?
I think they was going to throw the ball all over the place regardless.
And be as successful?
Sure, you're not getting pass rush at all. Your safety's out of line. Leverage was an issue, and Neighbors is a dude in general. I don't think Bland would have helped too much.
Yeah, I wonder, you guys help me in this one. If you play cover 2, how about some collisions at the line of scrimmage?
Sure.
How about some disruption? There was so many free access.
They give up a lot of space, yeah.
A lot of free access.
There was one time they were on, I think it was 3rd and 7 or something like that, and they gave up 10 yards of cushion. I'm like, you gave an easy first down.
Yeah, to me, if there's going to be cover 2, play it aggressively, collision at the line, throw these things off. I mean, you don't have a pass rush right now. And if you don't have a pass rush and you give guys free access, you're going to get a 500-yard passer. You damn near saw one yesterday. Yep. I mean, that's what you got to think about.
All right, we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back, and we're going to flip over to the other side of the ball. Lots of things to talk about there. Some positive things. A couple things we got to deal with, but we'll do that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
I'm home. Hey, Mom, before you ask, I've done my homework and the dishwasher's unloaded.
Nice. Hey, can you...
Hey, hon, yes, I've got the finale ready to play. Here's your wine.
Wow.
Isn't it nice not having to ask? We think so. That's why if there's a network interruption, AT&T will proactively credit you for a full day of service, guaranteed. Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or for wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for details.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman here. As the official pitmaster of the Dallas Cowboys, you know I take cookware seriously, especially when it comes to America's team. So when the Cowboys are away, I'm putting my Yeti cast iron skillets to work to make my game day favorites for friends and family. I'm talking chicken fried steak, skillet queso, and peach cobbler. And just like the Cowboys are forever, so are these heirloom cast iron skillets. Check out the full line of skillets on Yeti.com or at a Yeti store near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
Choose perfection. Choose LG OLED Evo. Check out the best TV in the game at LG.com.
Welcome back. This second segment is brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. We really went in deep on the defense.
Not really. We could have got worse.
We really could, and we might go back.
What was Dante doing?
By the way, we might go back to it because there's some other things we probably missed that we didn't get a chance to talk to. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. Yesterday, Dak Prescott was 38 of 52, 73% completion, 361 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, and a 96.7 rating. Now, the offense did start off somewhat slow. It took them a while to kind of get going.
They were hunting.
But that being said, how much of that was on Dak and how much of that was on the play calling? How much of that was on the offensive line? Where do you think the blame was for their slow start, and how did they get it actually turned around?
I think the Giants just did a decent job of knowing you. First of all, you didn't really get that many chances at it in the first quarter.
Yep.
Right. But besides that, knowing that little play action boot waggle tight end to the flats, and Shotty kept calling it, and eventually he stopped calling it, and they went more vertical with Jake. So good for Shotty there, making the adjustment. Blues. Also,
I get to call out Blues. We talking about the offense.
I'm just talking about coaches in general. Also, too, I think the run game got going as well, and that helped us out a lot. I just had to keep giving credit, man. 33 is a lot better than what I thought he was, and when he's catching dump offs and getting more yards because he's whooping the hell out of people downfield, right? That just makes Dak's job easier. So we can definitely talk about running back later and what that means for the other running backs and all that. But just as far as what the Giants did, whooping your line up front, and it happened to all of them except for Big Tyler, which is 73. But all the rest of them, they kind of went through their ups and downs here. The tight ends helped a little bit. The running back stayed in a handful of times, but I did like when the Cowboys chose to help with the tight end but throw to the running back. I think that's something that just kept working, so they just kept going to it. But after a while, we just talked about it here, Dak kind of got a feel for when the offensive line was going to lose up front. Right? It sounds crazy, but he got a feel for it, and the ball came out right when Dak was getting hit. So Dak did get hit more towards the end of the game, but it's like Lamb for 30, Pickens for 30, Ferguson downfield or whatever. So shouts out to Dak for kind of figuring this thing out, and Turpin had a good game too. Yeah,
the point was made about at one point in the first that Dallas had run 6 plays to the Giants' 22.
Crazy.
So now you're in a little bit of a bind with that whole situation, and you're going 3 and outs and stuff like that. I kind of felt like if you look at it was the 11:26 mark of the second quarter. They throw a 33-yard pass to CeeDee Lamb. They max protect the thing, and they kind of roll Dak to the right, and they sling that ball all the way across the field to the left. After that point, I kind of felt like, okay, now, it kind of woke them up. Then Ferguson got a ball, and it was like Shotty was in a little bit of a funk calling. Like, he had been so good on the first couple of drives against the Eagles. I mean, it was like, like you're like, whoa, look at this, combinations of run, pass together, everything getting married. Just the fact that he didn't have the ball a whole bunch in the first, I think, affected the way that he kind of called that game. But after that pass, that 33-yard pass to CeeDee, I kind of felt like he got it going. But to you guys' point as well, the second half passes, if you remember, he throws the ball down the field to Lamb. It's a big play, and he gets whacked. I mean, it's a roughing the passer penalty.
Yeah.
That just showed you, though, that Dak, he had to hang in there and make some throws with some guys, and he took some hits is what he did. But I felt like early in the game it was more of that than it was the later part. Yeah, the numbers will tell you. I'm sure you're going to tell me, Derek, that there were more pressures and all that, but it just seemed like to me the routes were better. They got Pickens involved too. You got him going. The slant he makes on third down late in the game. What a great catch. They got inside leverage on him, and he still runs the slant, and Dak puts it right on him. How about the out route for the touchdown that he set up him again? Boom, right there at the line. That's a tight window throw. That thing could have got picked and gone the other way, and then the next thing you know, you're losing a football game. So Dak did a great job of hanging in there. Pickens getting involved. Lamb making some plays, the offensive line, doing what they had to do to make sure that the ball got out when they could.
Yeah, I would say this. Shotty and Dak yesterday proved a lot to me. Now, it's early in the season, but the way they adapted, because at the early part of that game, I don't think they had much going offensively. I don't think Dak was necessarily at his best at the early part of that game. But what I saw was as that game went on, I started to get confidence by watching Dak that they were going to make it happen. Like as you got to the end of that game, and then even in overtime, when they had the ball, I felt like, oh, they're going to make something happen, because Dak got better as the game wore on. The play calling got better as the game got on. The offense started to gel. Started to click a little bit more as the game went on. And that's not something we've always seen around here. Sometimes when it goes off track, it just stays off track. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was a big credit to both Shotty and to Dak and to the whole offense. But that being said, what, were you going to say something, Brian?
Yeah, but real quick, though, if I could, there was a couple. I mean, I'm sorry, you need to finish. I didn't mean to put.
No, I was going to move to another topic, so go ahead.
Real quick, though, but, you give credit to Shotty for some things, and absolutely him and Dak. But also to me with the intent that they got the delay of game penalty when they had a chance to get a first down right there. And they looked like they had the intent to get the first down, and they just didn't get the
That
call.
had to be just a brain fart. But
if you look at this crew, if you look at that crew last week in the game, I think they had the Pittsburgh Jets game. They had 2 clock violations. So you got to be
fast flag.
you got to be aware of like who you're dealing with in that crew, with these crews. If they're going to call roughing the passer, if they're going to call lining up in the backfield, you got to be aware that this crew is going to throw a flag. But also too, right before the half, that could have been devastating. We always talk about winning the middle 8, the 4 minutes before the end of the half and then the 4 minutes in. You had that opportunity to get some points and then turn around and get points coming out.
Yeah.
And then you just completely, poop in the bed and don't do anything in the half. And then Dak throws an interception to start the second half. So, just unfortunate the way that some of the game management stuff, that's really the one criticism I have of Schottenheimer is of how poorly those two segments were executed.
Yeah, I agree. I just wonder on that play, particularly where they got delay of game, Dak seemed like he audibled 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And the Giants basically there was a gaping hole in the middle of their defense. I was just like, Dak, just snap the ball and just run. Which is exactly what he did. He just waited.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was trying to get them off balance by continuing to audible, but at some point you just got to go. And I think they missed that opportunity.
Yeah, you kind of felt like that they were trying to draw him, and I'm like, man, I see the same thing. The gap, just step up and go.
Yeah.
Just step up and run the play. But Bill Vinovich and that crew, now they've got a little bit of the clock hit 0. And I've seen it a lot worse. I've seen clock hit 0 and no call. This thing went 1, then 0, and then now the play. You're kind of feeling like, whoa, man, that was a quick whistle right there.
Yep.
So how it's set up as a former center, Bryan Broaddus, you know what I'm saying? If you just line up and quarterback sneak it, Dexter Lawrence is there.
Right.
So what you really want is to go, hey, y'all, we trying to get you to jump off sides.
Right.
Chill, audible. Hey, stay disciplined. Don't jump off sides. And then we go, and then we hit you.
Right.
Right. It's just that was a really quick 0 flag. Yeah. I've seen it go 0 tick then flag.
Oh, I have too.
Dak and Shotty were kind of wrong there, but the point is to get the ball right at 1 and then go.
Right.
But the flag came out
it can't go at 0. It has to snap at 1.
It got to be at 1.
Got to snap at 1. Yeah.
So they did miss there, but it was on purpose.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Javonte Williams. He had 18 carries for 97 yards, 5.4 average, 1 touchdown. He had another 6 receptions for 33 yards. The interesting part is they didn't really run a lot yesterday. And I went back, at the end of the game, you look at it and you're like, well, they did go to overtime. It was a shootout game, and they had 52 passes, 28 runs. Maybe that was a result of what happened late in the game. But even in the first half, before it was in that kind of situation, I think the Cowboys had 6 rushes in the first quarter. And then they had, 21 passes in the first quarter. Even early in the game, they were throwing the ball a lot more than the run. Do you think that was part of the reason why maybe they weren't finding that rhythm? It's because maybe they should have been doing a little bit more running early in the game.
Let me tell you what I don't like about Mike McCarthy. He don't work here no more. But when you used to ask Mike, hey, Mike, what's wrong with the run game? Yeah. Oh, we just need to run it more. We just need some more attempts. And I would hate
who's responsible for that?
I would hate what he said him.
As we look up, there's Javonte Williams.
The damn play caller. I would hate what he say that, man. 'Cause like, just because you ran it doesn't mean that this is the right time to run it. The Cowboys are seeming to find the right times to run it. And it's not like Javonte Williams is going out there and having 200-yard rushing games, right? But it's like, boy, we're running the ball really well in the red zone or at the goal line where the Cowboys have always had problems running the football, right? So I think Javonte catching the football is just as much a part of this thing as well. Yeah. That little swing to the outside, him catching it and running somebody over, I think that's like a run play also. So them running is definitely part of the rhythm or whatnot. But once they got going, running the ball, you saw, okay, they got going doing everything else. But it was really hard to get that rhythm when your first drive is nonsense and the Giants are just holding the ball for so long. But once it got going, it was going.
It was clear, though, that they were going to have success when they did run the ball with Williams, and a lot of this has to do with him. It didn't matter if it was actually outside left or outside right. Mm-hmm. It was inside. And going into this, we kind of, and Voch and I were talking about this last week when we were breaking this down, is like, do you attack the edges for the Giants? Do you run stay away from running the ball inside and try and run the ball a little bit more on the edges. But if you look at the way that the way the carries broke down, almost 8 yards going to the left side, outside left, 10 yards going to outside right. So give the tackle some credit. Give Span Ford some credit too. That big body is able to get some blocks and stuff up front. They were able to get, but Williams, just his toughness and his ability to find the gaps and then to make those runs, I think was really the most impressive thing yesterday.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I'm going to ask these former offensive linemen, did you put the offensive line at a disadvantage by not running more? Because sometimes what I've heard is you want to get your offensive line going, especially this one that's young. And I do think they're an aggressive offensive line. Giving them the opportunity to mash people a little bit can kind of get them going. And we saw some problems yesterday in the pass game. We'll talk about all that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Every day begins with a promise to work hard and to build a future. That's why we're here, providing the tools, expertise, and John Deere equipment you have relied on for generations to help you get the job done right. We're with you. That's our promise to you, because no matter the project or the challenge you're facing,
we're with you. We're united.
I'm home. Hey, Mom, before you ask, I've done my homework and the dishwasher's unloaded.
Nice. Hey, can you...
Hey, hon, yes, I've got the finale ready to play. Here's your wine.
Wow.
Isn't it nice not having to ask? We think so. That's why if there's a network interruption, AT&T will proactively credit you for a full day of service, guaranteed. Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or for wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
How's it going? You see that Cowboys game?
Oh, I watched. Been seeing some good things.
Totally. They have some talent.
Yup, some great talent.
And they got some fight.
Hoping this is the year.
Me too. Oh, I'm Cody, by the way.
I'm Travis.
Nice to meet you, Travis. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys!
Make a new friend based solely on their shirt choice. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. I know we've been harping on some things Cowboys could have, should have done. But let's not forget, they won. And I'm one of those people that always say in the NFL, I don't care what it looks like as much as I care about the result. A win is a win is a win. You only get 17 of these. This was in the win column. So let's make sure we also give a little credit. They figured it out. They got to win, and they move on. Survive in advance. All right, let's talk about let's continue on the conversation of the offensive line. And I teased before we went into the break that I really went, you guys both played offensive line. And I've heard from offensive linemen, sometimes they want the play caller to just say, we're going to line up and we're just going to run through people. We're going to run the ball and we're going to be the aggressors. As opposed to when you're playing pass defense, you're backing up, you're playing more defense. You're kind of just not letting them by you. You're kind of dancing. It's the dancing bear, whatever. Was this a situation where some of what we saw from this offensive line, which at times was not very good, particularly in pass protection, was a result of them not giving them the ability to be the aggressors more often?
That's fair. That makes sense. And I think this offensive line and how they run block with Williams and how he runs, I think it's easy to wear down the defense. I think you saw it last week and you saw it towards the end of this game also. And maybe that would have helped the Tylers, right? So tall Tyler's like 322. Gagnon. He's like 322 or something like that. So letting him lean on Burns, who's like 260, 265 or so, he's, slimmer of an edge guy. That would have probably, given him the advantage, but instead Burns is good. He's just had a bunch of water. He's fresh, and letting him be fast and crafty and pass rush that could be a disadvantage for him. Big Tyler, who's Tyler Smith, he was fine all day, every day, no matter what you ask him to do. He's good. But Booker being young, it's very much so to our advantage to let him and BB punish and move guys and thump and wear guys down as much as possible. It's just game flow happened, right? Game flow, we just didn't get in the rhythm, and you just had to end up throwing the ball, and just throwing the ball was just where the advantage was. So the first taste of what you got from Dexter Lawrence or Roy Jones Robinson, I don't know all three of his names, but the first thing that you ran into with those guys was fresh pass rusher, and that just doesn't benefit us. This isn't Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. They can line up and whoop you however. But this group of offensive linemen that are probably better run blockers now than pass blockers, it'll probably benefit them to lean on guys first and then have to deal with the pass rush.
Yeah, this one really actually came down in the game when you watch the tape. It came down to like the heavy box or light box. Dallas had much more success running with 6 or less defenders in the box than they did. When they got 7 or more, the yards per carry went down. It just seemed like that they had a little bit more problems of like maybe it was trying to secure down guys and then you're not getting, like we're in Philadelphia, you kind of got guys up on second level blocks and things like that. But this one was really, this game came down to, Dallas was really good when it came to having to deal with the lighter boxes. And maybe it's an adjustment that you make if you're Dak Prescott and if you're Brian Schottenheimer, as you kind of come up with the idea of maybe run pass, check with me kind of situations. If you get, and that can be on the quarterback too. If the quarterback sees like, hey man, we're having some success running against 6 or less defenders, I'm going to need to run the ball here and try and get a little bit of some rhythm that way. I kind of felt like going into the game, though, this week, throwing the ball was going to be, if you could have protected the front, if you protect Dak, I felt like on this secondary you can make some plays. And you started, like we were talking about earlier, protecting it a little better, and then the ball was able to get out and you weren't able to make some plays. But I think it's going to be about Dallas is going to have to, and maybe teams will say, listen, you want to play against Dallas, you got to play with heavy box because they will run you out of that. If you put 6 or less down there, Dallas will run with Williams and they'll have some success doing it. But if you put the extra guys in there, well, maybe that sets up some stuff for the passing game. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But teams have got to make a determination. Is Dallas's running game with light box going to keep you from playing that way? Or do you have to say, wait a minute, they run the ball now with some effectiveness. We can't do that. Well, now it helps Pickens, it helps Ferguson, it helps Lamb, it helps Tolbert, anybody else out there that's playing.
Also, too, you're not going to run into another D-line like this, where there's like a dude, like a bona fide dude lined up over your center and 3 other guys that can get after it. Yeah. You have to play the Giants again, but like Green Bay may be the other example where like Wyatt is cool, but Wyatt's not Dexter Lawrence, and there's Mike on the other side there. But, I think matchup 1 versus 1s or whatnot, I just think that this Giants D-line group was just much better than your Cowboys O-line group. It'll be much different versus these next few teams.
Yeah, the metrics will tell you in this game that the Giants played it about 56% of the time. So half the time when they were playing their front, they didn't think Dallas could run the ball. They said, okay, we can handle it with our edges, our defensive tackles, and our linebackers. Damn. And Dallas on half of those carries were able to get 4+ yards on those carries. So if you kind of look at how this all broke down, 50% of the time Dallas was having success. Teams are going to have to determine, wow, is Williams and now a threat that we can't just say, well, teams will just disregard Dallas's running game. You can't do that anymore. You can't.
Real quick, I was able, when I went back, I looked at every play in Next Gen Stats that was considered a play where there was pressure. There were 19 total of them. Here was the breakdown of the guys that gave up the pressure. 3 of them came just by 5-man protection against a blitz. There was a free man, so they got pressure. 5 were attributed to Guyton, 4 attributed to Steele, 4 attributed to Booker, 3 attributed to Beebe. And it was interesting because a couple of the ones that Beebe gave up, they were just linebackers basically blitzing him one, and it was one-on-one, and they just beat him. I guess the speed just beat him. But was there anything that you took from looking at the offensive linemen and how they were giving up these pressures that were common themes that you think the Cowboys really just have to spend some time with?
Yeah, when they're dealing with the guy and you've got these long edge rushers that have some speed and have a little, and then they kind of know how to break you down with hands and movement and stuff like that. Voch, help me with this one. Body position is bad. And sometimes these defenders will say, they know a guy like Steele who's played enough, you just walk him. You just take him. You just put
that
your head.
A couple times.
Elijah Garcia. Who the hell is Elijah Garcia? I didn't know who he was.
You just put your head in the middle of his chest and run him right back into the quarterback. That's why we had some of these discussions about Nate Thomas. And even I asked Stephen Jones the question on 105.3 The Fan on Friday, and he was saying, these guys are pushing. Nate Thomas is pushing 4. So I was kind of glad to hear that. But the biggest thing I think, Derek, is the power. These guys, sometimes the power is a little too much. And it looks like to me that Guyton has a little bit of trouble when they take him inside, that just taking that right foot and just stepping inside to keep him from giving up that pressure. But body position, hands, all these things that break linemen down, they tend to happen to these tackles especially.
Also, too, like dudes make you overcompensate for what you really are. If you're Guyton, you walk out there and it's Jalix Hunt. No disrespect to Jalix Hunt. He's a pro football player. He's really good at his job. But if you're Guyton, you have a little more confidence versus him than a guy like Brian Burns, who's known to whoop feet on the outside. As far as like slants on the inside and, dealing with linebackers, that's another thing. Like Dexter Lawrence simply existing there could make you miss a linebacker because you're so concerned about him moving around on the inside. So that's just something Booker and Beebe just got to get older and work on.
Yeah, I think one thing that stood out to me was the twists. They had some issues at times with picking up twists and
they'd had the last guys. It's been it was a problem. It was a problem in training camp, and it was a problem. It was a problem that happened even in Philadelphia, and that's a lot of that has to do. And now we'll see with the situation at the center spot, where that's going to take you to, because you might be having a backup playing there.
I trust Brock Hoppin for 4 games, boy, and that's hopefully that's all it is.
But we are hearing reports that it's going to be a substantial amount of time for Cooper Beebe, but we don't know that for sure yet. The Cowboys have not given a statement yet. We'll see how that plays out. Real quick, I did want to also mention that as a part of those pressures, 2 of those pressures came from Miles Sanders in blitz pickup. It was a tough ask because he was on the right side, I think, in both instances, and there was a guy coming from the left and he had to kind of get all the way over there and just couldn't get there in time, and the guy got pressure on the quarterback. So there was some of that too, but I just think all the way around I didn't see a clear this guy was the problem. There were problems throughout, and it was problems from everybody except for Tyler Smith, which is a good thing. If you're paying him that much money, you don't want problems there. But I think there were issues all along that front, and I'll be interested to see. I agree with you, Voch, that this may just be one of those matchups where you just kind of have to manage that, and that's why you're happy you come away with a win, because you just figured out how to do just enough. And quite frankly, I put a lot of that on your quarterback. Your quarterback, as the game got going and went on, he started adapting to the pressure, and he was making plays in spite of the pressure.
There were some plays, though, some big chunk plays that they made where Beebe was uncovered and peeled back and picked guys up. Yeah. He was really helpful. I mean, it looked like to me that Dak was going to get hit a couple times, and Beebe was able to get back and pick up some stuff and help that way. So, yeah, I mean, but they made plays when they had to make plays down that stretch. That was some clutch football when they needed it.
May I say something?
Yeah.
This ain't about the offensive line, nothing like that. I just didn't want to leave without saying that Kenny Clark, Oso Odigizua, and Solomon Thomas played very well last night.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm already set up for that. We're going to do something called Shining Stars and Falling Stars. We're going to talk about some individual players that played well and some players that didn't. But I will say this: we are not ending the show without taking our hats off, if we had on hats, to our man Brandon Aubrey. That man is a beast. And when I say he is a weapon, it's not often you can call a kicker a weapon. That man is a weapon for this team.
They ran a draw play to set up a 64-yard field goal.
And felt good about it.
Yeah. And by the way, he jumped on the ground. He was like, I give myself up. Let my kicker come on the field. I give myself up.
They didn't fight to get
No.
It's like, 65 straight.
How many times did we hear when we were in the locker room after the game, they kept saying the same statement, hey, you get to the star, get to the kicker. Like, they're like, if you get to midfield, you are money. And I think that is a kicker that is unlike any kicker I've ever seen in the NFL from the standpoint of being a true weapon. I think the rules committee this next offseason needs to talk about the fact that when you get over 60 yards, maybe it should be 4 points. Like, maybe there should be something more.
That's that fantasy football coming out.
I'm just saying, like, there needs to be something more. That's not you're giving me the same amount of points for a 25-yard kick as you do for a 64-yard kick. I'm sorry, I want more.
I got a joke I always say that if, it's a touchback or something, you get the ball like the 35 or whatever, you just need 25 offensive yards and you in field goal range. That's crazy.
I'll tell you what, not having Turpin in that game late might have hurt you a little bit. I mean, I know you got the win, but man, having Tolbert having a return.
I'm not going to say nothing bad about Jalen Tolbert.
Nothing. No, I'm not trying to say. I'm just saying.
Because he made a play. He made a play in that game.
Voch won't give him credit for that. Voch will not give him credit.
Because he missed another one.
Okay, but he made a play. He made a play that they needed when they needed it.
We had a discussion on some other show that I was doing. I ain't going to say where we were because I don't know. But it's like, do you trust CeeDee Lamb double covered or do you trust Turpin one-on-one? Yeah. Because you get the same result if he's single covered. So just throw the ball to CD double cover, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask this? The most successful NFL play, this will end it here. Brandon Aubrey kicking a long field goal or the tush push? Which is a more devastating play? Or more which is the most successful play? The tush push or the Brandon Aubrey long field goal?
I don't think I've ever seen the Eagles not get what they want out of the tush push.
I haven't seen Aubrey miss a damn field goal.
Yeah.
A long field goal for that matter.
That's true. He's so good.
That's
he's
a good one there.
So good. But that being said, I think the Cowboys realize that, and at this point,
1-1.
The only thing you got to do at this point is figure out how you're gonna get him paid.
Get to
get him paid.
Look,
Brad Sham said it in the call when he said after it was good. The final you got to pay that guy.
Yeah,
don't call Clowney. Call Ty France and his people and take care of a damn.
That has to be next on the list as far as the Cowboys. They've given out money at this point. I want to get in that line. All right, we appreciate you guys, Jones. We'll be back tomorrow.
Watch it, Derek. You're next.
Derek,
maybe
they're gonna take your money.
I started to make a joke about you watching the Texas game. He was tweeting, I've thrown everything, my remote and my pillows in my house. I didn't tweet, but I started to say, man, I bet Derek got $5,000 pillows at his house. But I just didn't tweet it because I know you're a rich man.
I do not. I am not a rich man.
Derek is off.
I got your regular average everyday pillow that I just slung across. By the way, if I had $1,000 pillows, they would not be being thrown. My wife wouldn't allow that. Let's just be clear about that.
The breast furniture.
We appreciate you guys joining.
I know the pain. 5 interceptions, 20 points at LSU. Tell me about it.
It was a day. It was a day Saturday. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. Cowboys won. We're going to stick with that. For Voch, Lombardi, Bryan, Broaddus, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!